Texas Congressman Mac Thornberry is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. You also were part of a briefing on Syria. Was that the same one that Senator Graham attended?
No, they had separate briefings for the House and the Senate.
All right, so your briefing on the House side, did it leave you with concerns about the way forward in Syria, or are you satisfied with the administration's approach?
Well, I think virtually all members agree that something needed to be done. Some believe that the administration should have asked Congress first. What I think Lindsey is talking about is a broader strategy for where we go in Syria. And I don't think the administration has all the answers to Syria, but in fairness to them, they inherited a mess. And I don't know of anyone who has come up with a plan that can put all the pieces of Syria back together again and deal with the expansion of the Iranians, the ISIS presence that is still there, the interests of the Turks, the interests of the Russians. It goes on and on.
The Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Bob Corker has said that essentially he believes it's too late for the United States to have any useful role in Syria, that it's going to be carved up by the Russians and the Iranians, obviously two countries that are not our friends. What do you say to that?
Well, I think, as I said, Syria is a mess, and I don't know of anyone who can put all those pieces back together again. On the other hand, we have some serious interests in Syria. Number one is we have some troops on the eastern side of Syria to work with the local forces to defeat ISIS, to exterminate them and make sure that we don't have to face an ISIS 3.0. Secondly, we don't want to have the Iranians and the Russians rushing into Syria and posing a problem for the region to Israel, to Jordan, and perhaps to our interests. So I don't think we have to fix Syria, but at the same time, I believe it would be a mistake to completely withdraw from Syria just because there's so much at stake there.
But the president said in early April he wanted to withdraw. Then we get this gas attack, and all of a sudden we're lobbing more cruise missiles. Did Assad, was he emboldened, do you think, by the president's withdrawal announcement?
I don't know. There's been some speculation about that. What we do know is about a year ago, Assad killed a large number of people with chemical weapons. President Trump responded against the military units that carried out those attacks. And while there have been some small-scale chemical attacks, basically for a year, Assad kind of backed down. I hope that what happens now is that Assad will understand that chemical weapons, which have been outlawed for about 100 years, cannot be used against anyone, even those that are fighting his regime. And I think it was very important, not only for the United States, but for our key allies of France and Britain, which represent the three of the permanent members of the UN Security Council. It was important for all of us to stand together and say this is a barbarity that even in warfare we cannot tolerate.
Let's talk about the Pentagon's budget, because you have rolled out a plan that would cut $25 billion, not from frontline troops, but from so-called Pentagon support services. What are you proposing? What are you hoping to achieve there?
Well, one of the ways that folks put it is we need to reduce the tail and put more emphasis on the tooth of the military. What that means is over the past number of years, the bureaucracy, the back office support functions at the Pentagon have grown tremendously. And meanwhile, if you compare the money that goes to the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, we're significantly less than we were, say, during the Cold War era. So I'm trying to make the Pentagon more efficient, to get more value for the taxpayers, and to transfer those resources out to the front lines where the men and women are risking their lives to protect us. Now, there's always resistance when you try to make change. You know, nobody wants to see their office reduced or abolished, but I think it's just essential if we're going to defend this country that we have more resources out there on the front lines where they belong.
Well, you're taking a lot of heat on this proposal. We'll have you back another time to talk more about it. Mac Thornberry from Texas, Republican. Thank you.
Thank you.